Hey everyone, this is Stefan, aka Plastic Pen, and you're listening to or watching my brand new podcast, Pen Tales. For this first episode, I've invited Dominik Gümbel, who is not only a fantastic artist and a good friend of mine, but also my co-founder of our upcoming art anthology book, Mirror Dreams. I really hope you'll enjoy my first baby steps into making a podcast, and I'd be extremely grateful for any feedback, any suggestions you might have after listening to this. If you enjoyed this, please leave me a thumbs up wherever you're watching or listening. And now, I hope you're ready to hear two Germans talk English. Have fun. So, Dominik, I've asked ChatGPT to tell me who you are.
Oh no.
This is the result. Dominik Gümbel is like the Swiss Army knife of art. A concept artist, illustrator, and all-around visual magician. Whether it's crafting game characters, designing museum exhibits, or lighting up Times Square and Shibuya Crossing with his work, he's got it covered. Armed with a communication design degree and serious skills in tools like Photoshop and Blender, Dominik turns creative ideas into jaw-dropping visuals. He's been plotting artistic world domination since his thesis on world building for video games. In short, he makes art look easy and the rest of us look lazy.
What?
So that's the first question is if we want to dive really deep into the whole creative business, Swiss Army knife, like generalist versus a specialist. Do you see yourself as a generalist, like a Swiss Army knife?
I would say kinda, yeah. I mean, like, I try to be more specialist nowadays, but definitely started and took a long time being a Swiss Army knife.
Nice. I like the description or the kind of the tag.
It's really flattering.
And I learned one thing I didn't know. You wrote your thesis about world building for video games. Is that right? Is that a correct answer?
That is correct, yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay, it got it right then. That's a fascinating and super cool topic for your thesis, to be honest. So, can you tell me more about that?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I was already when I started writing that thesis, I already knew I want to go into video game design and character concept art, and which is unusual if you study communication design, I would say. Most people go into graphic design or like motion graphics. But I knew, okay, I know it's really tough because I've been to like some art conferences for concept art and stuff and knew it will be really tough without a nice portfolio. And I always had the flaw that my work was kind of unfocused. So I was like, well, what about if I start making my bachelor thesis about world building, which is, I mean, the job of a concept artist. So I have a reason to build a proper portfolio as my bachelor thesis, basically, and really try to dive into it. And also, not only I make a portfolio, but also learn how to make it in a proper way. And funnily enough, after I finished that thesis, I start seeing like companies like Atom Hawk Design, for example, in Great Britain. They also put guides out. I mean, not because of me, but they started putting guides out how you should actually make your portfolio. And they also went the same way, saying you should kind of make a world building project. Mm-hmm. So
that's totally fascinating. So did it have a theoretical part, or was it more like a practical that you actually created like world building heavy project, and where you kind of accompanied that with some theoretical underlining, or was it more like a real theoretical thesis in the end?
It was both in the end. I mean, I would say the focus was 60% or 70% more on the creative side. I was just like coming up with a story, started building main characters, multiple storylines, which then in the end I took one that I basically illustrated, and also built up some side stories, really going into detail like people like J.R. Tolkien did with Lord of the Rings. You have a main storyline, but side characters. And then in my theoretical part, I went into how it actually works, how you would approach that, and some base principles like, how was it called? The hero's journey, for example, is I don't know who wrote it. I forgot it sadly.
Yeah, I'm bad with names as well. So yeah, but I think it's pretty well known.
This is
pretty well known principle. Yeah.
exactly, and like how you build like acts and stories, and I really dove into that whole topic. Don't think I did a great job in actually doing that in my project because I'm a little bit all over the place because I'm also not a writer. But overall, it was a little bit of both for sure, and it took way longer than probably most people would spend on a bachelor thesis.
Yeah, when did you finish it? What year?
Oh my god, when did I finish my bachelor thesis? ChatGPT didn't say that, right?
No, it probably knows, but yeah, I don't know when I finished uni. So whenever I get asked, I still remember, I think 2014, 2015 was the semester I finished my bachelor, but I can really, it's
hard.
crazy. But if people ask me, when did you finish your master? I'm never able to remember it. It's weird.
It
It
must
doesn't
have
matter.
been. Yeah.
No, it doesn't matter. I was just curious, but it's. I mean, it's been a while, right?
It must be, I think, 7 years. It's shortly after I finished, we moved cities, and I think it was like now 7 years. And I spent longer on the bachelor thesis than you're supposed to. So like I think like it's 1 semester that you're supposed to spend on it, but I started already before that, with some theoretical aspect, so that I already have a head start when I got into it, because I knew it will be way more than I can chew. So
yeah,
I
you're
invested-
either stupid or ignorant if you actually start working on your bachelor part in the semester you're supposed to work on it, right?
Yeah.
No
I've seen people
no one
who
sane does that.
Yeah, but I've seen people do that, and then I had some friends on. They were like going into my room, looked like completely lunatic. I had like what was timetables. They were printed out pictures and like
Like
there
the
was-
Pepe Sylvia meme from
Yeah.
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Like
exactly. I was like, oh
Charlie-
yeah, man, just
Charlie
in
on
this
the wall.
storyline. Yeah. And they came into it and they were like, I haven't even started thinking about a topic yet.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah. Well, you're a pro, right?
yeah.
So yeah, you already mentioned concept art, and we're going to look into that a little bit in a minute. I just wanted to say that the reason that you're here on this podcast today as the first guest is, of course, that we're not only friends, but we are also friends working on a project together, which is Mirror
Yes.
Dreams, the Mirror Dreams art anthology, and we're going to talk about that even later, because I wanna get into your career after uni first, so to have like a chronological thing going here. I didn't mean to ask about your bachelor or your time at uni at all, but after ChatGPT gave me this kind of nice threw me this pass, I had to ask. But I'm more interested in what happened after finishing uni, because you're a full-time freelance artist now, but you took the step only relatively recently. Is that okay to say?
Fully, yeah, I would say like 3 years ago,
Yeah.
roughly. I would say, yeah, plus
Yeah.
minus.
And you already mentioned that you were interested in getting into concept art after uni. So what did your career look like after uni, and how did you experience the transition into freelancing? That's kind of 2 questions, but if you want to answer them first and second.
Well, let's say after uni, I already started working for a short time in a graphic design studio, which I already worked in during my studies also. And I did that, and I tried, of course, getting freelance gigs in the concept art industry, but I already knew it will be absolutely insane. It's super hard, and it's still super hard, and now probably again even more. But we moved cities then, and I was like kind of like chickening out on the idea of like going freelance right away, because I had no savings. And when I learned one thing from talking to other artists back then was like, you should have some savings, because there will be rough spots during your career, especially in the beginning. So I was like, okay, maybe I need to just spend some time, find a job in the design industry in general, and just work my way up into it. So basically, I tried to have like a part-time job as a designer, which I quickly got as an exhibition designer here in Dresden, and tried to basically build up my freelance career on the side until it reached a tipping point where it was too much freelance work that I couldn't do it on the side anymore. So I could say, okay, let's dive into freelance full time. Didn't work out that way, but it worked anyway.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
one of the most tricky parts of freelancing is that you can't control how much work comes your way. And but I think that's kind of, I would say it's probably the classic way how people try to do the transition, to wait until you don't know where to put all the requests and the work, and then you decide,
Yes.
okay, I'm able to go full freelance now. But yeah, sure, it happens that you have this big workload, and then suddenly you finish it all and write your invoices, and then nothing comes, and nothing follows up.
I mean, I was quite unfortunate that, like, at some point, I mean, it took probably like another 3 years being employed part-time, then that I actually got some proper requests. Because what I also didn't want to do, I had requests, but they were all really, really badly paid. So I was like, I'm not jumping into full freelance career doing like insanely crunch work for basically nothing. And which I know a lot of people do, because you can then, of course, get experience in industry. So you got something, but payment is bad. So, but it took probably another 3 years to get into the position that I got nice offers. But then it was always a little bit tricky, because, of course, these offers were like asking in the consular industry to be full-time, or like they want to book you for 4 weeks straight. And that doesn't work with a part-time job. It's like insane, especially because the part-time job I had was in a startup kinda. And of course, startups are also more crunch time from time to time. And it just didn't work out. So I had to wait for the right moment that I had enough savings to actually say, okay, let's do it.
Yeah, there's a trick to handle these full-time requests. I'm not sure if I want to recommend it, but you can do a full-time job and then just do another job on the side, and you do not tell the other side that you're actually working full-time somewhere else. It only goes like well to a certain point, and that is either someone from your other job calls you at your current job where you're currently working, and you're like, shit, I can't take that call right now. And they're like, are you free for a meeting in 2 hours? And you're like, no, I'm at work. And the other side that could go wrong is burnout, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think we've probably all been there. So I got, even as a freelancer, I got requests from agencies like, are you free the next 2 to 3 weeks? And I'm like, I'm not, but yes.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, tell me what you want.
Yeah. So it's a luxury problem, I guess, if you have too much work, but it's still a problem. I just said a good follow-up question, but now I forgot it.
Damn it. But because you mentioned that trick, was it like that for you?
No, so I didn't work full-time employed somewhere in a very long time. And the last time I've been at a firm as an employee was before I started studying. If you do not count my internship as an information designer at an agency in Berlin for half a year that I did during my time at uni. Even though that's not a too bad example, because as a student I started to take first freelance projects, and when I was in Berlin working at that agency in the evenings, I sat down and worked on freelance projects as well. So I think you can compare that or take that as an example as well. So yeah, I know the experience, but I know it more from telling 2 freelance clients, hey, I'm free for you to work full-time, and then you work 2 full-time jobs at the same time, and you kind of just wrestle it somehow. I'm trying to learn, or I really practiced not doing that anymore if the offer on the table isn't like crazy good, because in the end it's just not sustainable, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
You feel exhausted, and the quality of your work isn't really on point at some point, because you have to balance. Then you know how clients can be. I'm not someone who likes to bash on clients all the time, because they pay my rent and my food, and they have their needs and they have their bosses. So I'm not a fan of always shitting on clients, but there are sometimes clients who are very demanding. And if you have two
Definitely.
of these at the same time, you may maneuver yourself into a really difficult situation. I'm trying to avoid that. Yeah. The exhibition design part is really interesting, by the way, because my bachelor thesis I did with my friend and colleague Jan back in 2015 was an exhibition concept as well. So I'm really it's exhibition design has always been a little bit of a plan B for me if illustration doesn't work out anymore, because I love the discipline so much. So what was your
It's a lot
experience
of
with
fun.
that? Did you enjoy it, or was it too much was it stressful because you're working on hard deadlines, or what was your experience?
I absolutely loved it. It was also like a positive shock for me because during university I actually avoided this discipline as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know what it will be in the end when I got into it. But since it was a startup, I was like, I mean, you will do anything design related or even architecture related. So it was like a really nice way to learn about a new discipline that, in my opinion, as at least that I experienced, offers all the disciplines that design have. Sometimes they ask you, okay, we need a classic graphic design layout. Sometimes you need to do an animation, sometimes some illustration. And what I really loved, which I feel sometimes as a designer or illustrator is missing, you could be on site. For me, it was museums because we focused on museums. And it was so cool to just go into the museum when it was closed off for anyone else. And you had to go in there, check out the location, actually could take a close look at the exhibits that sometimes even don't show up for most people in the museum itself. So it was a really fun experience to be just there and actually see something in person then. Because I also like you design something really grand and big, and then you go in there and it gets built by carpenters and whatever, and you see it. Because I think sometimes that's missing when you do some designs or illustrations. You just do it digitally and it disappears. You don't
Yeah.
really see it in person. So, I mean, of course, if you do some illustrations for magazines, you might see it, but most of the time, you do it and it disappears when you get your money.
Yeah, it's short-lived. The content. I'm sorry for calling it content. I know, like I really can't fucking stand if people call us artists content creators, but it is in the meaning of the term. It is a content, and the digital art you produce for a client is potentially very short-lived because it's just made for a certain specific occasion or so. Sometimes it's made for a website or so. Of course, then the website lives for 3 years or so. Or so. That's of course. I mean that's still nothing you can touch. You know,
Exactly.
it lives on for a while. What I really enjoyed making that exhibition, because it was the first time. So back when we were students, we decided to make an exhibition concept because we thought we don't know when an opportunity to make something completely on your own and to get a space and to get this kind of freedom to work on something you want comes up again. And so we thought, like, let's just what's the English translation from auf die Kacke hauen?
Oh God,
So
I don't know.
we sorry for switching to Germany, but we kind of we wanted to really blow it up, you know. So we wanted to make people like go in there in the room we had for us and really go like, what the fuck are these guys up to? This is crazy. And people we achieved that. I can't say so much. And what I really enjoyed is, so you're working like a year or so on something that people will enter. So you creating a space that you design and that you craft, and you expect people to come into the space and read something, watch something, learn something, and you're always kind of in the concept phase, trying to emulate how people will join the space and how they will experience that. And then the moment where the exhibition opens and there's like a huge like lots
Yeah.
of people coming in, and they're all reading your text you wrote. They are checking out the infographics, the illustrations, and they come to you and want to talk to you about what they just learned, because our exhibition was about the physical side of light and how light
Oh,
tells
it's a good
us.
topic.
Yeah, it goes deep. It goes really deep.
Yeah.
So curating the content was crazy, a lot of work, and so we had a lot of like space and universe related stuff, like what does light tell us that we can extract from the sky. So there's like telescopes that analyze light, and the visible and not visible light, like gamma and radio waves and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So what does it tell us about extraterrestrial life, or elements that occur on other planets and stuff like that? So it took this curve in the exhibition, right? And there was a lot of information, and it was so cool to see people come to us and who wanted to discuss these topics with us, and who went home learning something new, and how they like stood in front of the big walls we put up, reading all the stuff, and that's I would really love to do that kind of stuff again, but our thought from back then that this opportunity wouldn't come up in a while again turned out to be true, because I unfortunately didn't work on an exhibition after that.
I mean, it's from my experience, it's limited. I only work for this one company, but from what I saw from other companies that we were in contact in the same creative field there, it's a really, really niche thing.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
it's not something I would say that you plan on. I make a company now, I build on that, and I want to work in that. It's something you just slide into. It's when I talk to my bosses, if I remember, they also were like, they weren't really planning on doing that. It just happened. And at some point, it was more and more museums, or sometimes they had a booth at some fair or whatever. But usually, it's something you just slide into somehow.
Yeah, I guess it's a very, very small number of agencies who only focus on exhibition design as well. So I know a handful, but I don't know how many agencies are there that are really kind of not a Swiss Army knife, but specialized in making exhibitions. Even though you said that that's what I wanted to mention before. So when you entered that agency and worked on exhibitions, you were the Swiss Army knife they were looking for, right?
Exactly. It was really like that. I think it was also when I had my interview back then. It was like, I do everything. Take me. And then they were like, well, but do you know architecture? I was like, yeah, sure. I can do architecture. Of course I couldn't, but I mean, sometimes you have to kind of wiggle your way into that. But it was really cool. I think I also liked it because in some sort of way, we also kind of dove into that. You have that concept that you work on. It is comparable to concept art. It's kind of like a world building. You take that topic, dissect it, and find the really interesting parts, make various design things. I mean, it's like making a game. It's also kind of similar experience. People take their time to go to an exhibit or play a game in concept art and actually focus on that. It's not like a movie or something where sometimes you're just like, oh, do that, or a magazine where you just like flip through. It's an experience that people are willing to actually go in there and forget everything else and just focus on that. And it's kind of similar process, I would say. And I think that's why I also liked it.
Yeah. I didn't take this comparison, or I didn't create this connection before, but now that you explained it, it makes a lot of sense. That's right.
Especially because like there's so much going into it. It's not only you do some graphic design, that's it. No, you also think about carpentry, you think about illustration, some animations even, and some exhibits also have interactive like stations, which is of course gaming. So it's pretty close.
I've been to the ultimate exhibition for you. I don't know if it's a ongoing exhibition. I think so. I think they only change couple elements. But I've been to Karlsruhe. There's an exhibition about retro gaming and the history of gaming. And if you ever come to Karlsruhe, I know it's close to your home, so you should
I should check that out.
Probably visit that. I think it's ongoing. I've been there like 1.5 years ago, maybe or so, and it was really nice. So you can play yourself, of course, obviously. There's from the first Pong games over like the first Nintendos to
Nice.
to current contemporary video game culture, and it's very focused on like how storytelling evolved in the gaming industry and stuff like that. So it's really much recommended.
To check that out. It's cool.
Yeah, I can send you a link later on.
Yes, please.
I think it's at the uni, the HFG. I'm not sure.
I think so, yeah.
But yeah, I just really randomly stumbled in there, and it was like, oh, I'm in the right place.
Nice.
So yeah, let's talk about our Mirror Dreams book for a bit, because
Yes.
you've been mentioning the struggles with making digital art that doesn't allow you to get your hands on the physical work, and that lots of the hours we put into our art these days is stays in a digital realm and doesn't never leave and come into our real world, our real lives. And with Mirror Dreams, I think one of the reasons we started this project was that we both like we sat over a beer or something. I'm not sure. I think early last year, probably late 2023 or so.
Yeah, must be. Yeah, I think December or something, and then we met in February the following year, and then we were like, "Let's do company."
I think that was it. Yeah, and I think we discussed that it would be great to make something physical, because social media is ass and sucks, and getting in touch with people gets kind of more and more difficult.
Definitely.
AKA the social media reach is a bit of a problem for many creators right now. And we kind of went from random chat over drink to just like throwing around ideas to actually starting this project and to actually founding a publishing company, which sounds really. I think. I mean, I'm a big fan of dreaming big and then working your way like in iterations and little steps, working your way towards that dream. But founding a publishing company sounds quite big, like there. And we are here at the moment where we told the government that we are a company now and that we want to release a book. That's it right now. And maybe in a couple of years we're a proper publishing company. Who knows? But yeah, it's kind of a very open question. But like, what's your view on the journey so far? Like from the last year.
It was definitely, for me, it was scary. I mean, like, it was back then already a big step becoming a freelancer, but then going the path of saying, okay, we do it properly, we go into it, we make a company and dive into the whole process of actually like building something from zero was scary. But it didn't take too long for me to feel comfortable about that. Because like at some point I realized, okay, I mean, it's not so different from what I used to do when I was employed or as a freelancer. You build a team, you build an idea, you do concepting, and I mean, we play ideas back and forth and something grows out of that. It's a process, and if you trust the process, something good will happen, and you also feel safe then in the end.
I'm going to share our Gooey Goose, because that's what the company's called, Gooey Goose. Gooey Goose Artsy Goods. I'm going to share the Instagram account. Sorry for interrupting.
No, it's good. It's nice
go on.
I have something to see and talk about.
Yeah, because I think I made the mistake of not really explaining what we're doing with the book, but let's slide that in later. Let's just go on and we'll explain our idea.
Yeah, but I think the process itself, I mean, I just started trusting it, and also because you brought more experience in the hindsight of like about how to found a company. You had already experience in that, so it was really like for me, okay, we got this. Like we both have our specialities and we can actually really put them together and make something happen. Because I mean, I think most artists play with the thought of like, oh, I want to print something, I want to make a book or so, but never really dive into it because it's daring. Like it's not that easy to actually get into it, but I think just because we were vibing so much about the idea and we were both a little bit fed up with the social media landscape, we were like, let's do it. I think it works.
Yeah, it's definitely correct that there's so many different, you can put so many hats on in this process, right? It's the freelance, kind of the story of being a freelancer in general, that you wear the hat of a project manager and a social media manager, an accountant, I don't know,
Swiss Army knife.
yeah, that's the Swiss Army knife in itself. So before being the actual artist, you have to do so many other things, and this experience definitely comes in handy now, I guess, when doing a book. So for everyone who didn't check out the book so far, let me quickly explain what we're actually doing here, because I think that would have made sense. When I cut the podcast later, I just cut this part in front of the other. No, I won't do that. I'm planning to not cut anything except something really weird happens. So that's the plan now. Let's see if it works. But so the book we're doing is called Mirrored Dreams, and what we did is we started it as an anthology, which means we invited artists to join us and submit stories and illustrations and artworks and comics to our book, art that they specifically make for this book, or made at this point, because it's finally, I think, 99% done.
Yeah.
And the fun part starts with the dreams and the stories, because we asked, and every artist asked their following and their community to submit dreams and nightmares they had. So not dreams that you wish for world peace, but the dream that you had at night during sleep. Because I don't know how we actually got to that idea, but a couple of years back, I started writing down dreams in the morning after waking up that I could remember, So I had a little book by my bed, and when I woke up, you have these kind of couple minutes after waking up that you can remember a couple details. So I started writing them down, and I guess everyone can agree to that. The dreams you sometimes have are so surreal and so weird. They are definitely worth to be turned into art and comics. And we had, I think, around 100 dreams and nightmares being sent to us by our following.
I recently counted it. I think it was even more.
Yeah, maybe
I
over
think it was
160
even. Or something. It was a lot. Yeah.
Okay, maybe some people sent us theirs after we closed after we closed down accepting more stories. But
true.
Then we have material for volume 2 if this one turns out to be successful. And every artist could pick a dream or a nightmare, or they could also say they would do both, like a dream and a nightmare. And this is what the book looks like at the moment. So this is a mock-up of the book. The cover is a collaboration between Dominik and me. So thanks for your great work, Dominik. And I think we did a good job.
It was the first thing we actually could collaborate on a project.
Yeah, we never. So no, that's not true. We did the Curious Cabin.
But I mean on the book itself.
Okay, for the book, yeah. But it's the cover artwork is also the first artwork that we actually did together, because I think for the Curious Cabin artwork, I just sent you an idea and you just made an artwork out of it and an animation, if I remember right. But here we actually we scribbled it together literally. So someone of us started scribbling, the other one kept it up, and then I think you did the outlines, I did the colors, then you did like finishing parts. So it's really the most collab an artwork can be, I guess, and that's really cool. And I'm so glad that it turned out in a nice way. I'm going to praise ourselves here a bit, but I'm sorry, but I think we did a great
No,
job.
but for real, like with these kind of artworks, I mean, I didn't do them too much in the past, but I had experience with other people, and it can go both ways. It can go amazing, or it can be a
Yeah,
completely
yeah, you
failure.
never
So I
know.
was really happy.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's a risk. It's a risk, but I think if it would have turned out in a very shitty way, I think one of us would have told the other, "Hey, let's not
Yeah.
do this. Let's not keep up doing this." So I'm pretty confident that we're that honest with each other's. So for everyone not on YouTube or Spotify video or wherever this is going to be released as with the video included, check out Gooey Goose on Instagram, and you can take a look at the cover, and of course lots of other amazing artworks by our featured artists. So yeah, we've been working on this for almost a year now, inviting many, almost a year. I mean from writing down and exchanging ideas to
Okay, yeah.
this point, it's been a year. And we invited lots of artists, and we are so happy that 11 artists. So we both do a comic, or each 2 comics as well for the book. So we have, including us, we have 13 artists involved in this book, and it's the quality of the art is crazy. So there's a couple previews on Instagram as well. So this one here is by Andy Williams, for example, or here's from something from Sapo Lendario. It's really, I'm totally amazed by the quality of work we got, because honestly, I'm a big fan of everyone who's involved. That's for sure. But you never know if they half-ass something and just send you some, you never know. I mean, it's our project, not theirs, so you never know what they send you. And I'm really happy by the results. And this book will have 200 plus pages. What's the page count right now, Dominik? Do you?
Plus 200. I think we're at 230.
230. Okay, well, okay. We need to stop because it's getting too expensive. So this book will be released on Kickstarter, and this is a bit of advertising now. I'm sorry for that, but this is our Kickstarter page here. I'm putting it in the show notes, of course, as well. But if you're watching this, you can also, take a look here. Mirror Dreams, an art anthology from the world of dreams, launching February 5th. So we're 3 weeks away from the launch, to be honest. I just realized that now. And when this podcast is released, I'm trying to release this very soon, but when this is going live, it will probably be 2 weeks away or so. So and we are extremely excited to bring this to life. I can't wait to hopefully print this and send this out into the world, to be honest, because I know the quality is there. There's lots of love included, and this whole project has shown me that making physical books and physical products is something that I can only speak for myself here, but I'm getting the enthusiasm from you. I mean, we met here. You came over to Münster some months ago, and we worked on the book together, and we had a great time. And I'm really, one of my learnings is that this is something I need to do more often. I don't know if it's making enough money to get some substantial income. I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm doubting that, to be honest. But in the end, I mean, as a freelancer, you have to see to multiple income streams anyway. But yeah, it's something I would love to do more often. And I mean, today we're doing this podcast, and I would love to have you on the podcast again in maybe 3 months or so, when the project is hopefully funded and we printed the books, to kind of make like a retrospective and to look back at the campaign. But today, we're just looking forward to the next weeks.
Absolutely, especially because like the whole process, it's you can't wait for it to be done. Like you want to see it printed. It was so much fun, like seeing all the artworks trickle in, or like even before, like seeing all the submissions from the communities, like all the dreams. There was so much interesting, amazing, and wonderful stuff in there. Dreams where I have thought like, damn, how can people dream that? It's
Yeah,
so
yeah,
vivid.
I literally sat here reading the dreams and laughed hard because it was, and sometimes got the creeps because they were really creepy
Yeah,
nightmares.
definitely. There was something in for everyone.
Yeah. I guess that was really surprising to me. When I saw which dreams and nightmares the artist picked, there were a couple of stories that I thought would never be turned into artworks, because I thought, okay, that's too wild, or that's too weird, or that's just a bit too dumb, maybe like a bit like, for example, this is I don't want to I don't mean this in an insulting way, but there were a couple of dreams where I thought like this is something for a Hollywood B movie material. And there were, for example, the killer tomatoes that I just can't get over the killer tomatoes. And
Absolutely
I
great.
read the dream and I put it in the list. I put the list together for the artist, and there was this guy who had a nightmare that he was chased by killer tomatoes, and Dimitri actually picked that dream and turned it into an illustration. And when I saw that he put his name next to the dream, I was like, okay.
To be honest, if he wouldn't have picked that, I would have been down for that. I saw it, I was like, God damn, I want to have that one.
Yeah, maybe it's just like my own perspective that I would never have picked that because it's something I wouldn't want to illustrate. But that's the great aspect of doing this book, is we have 13 artists, and of course everyone has a different approach to what they see as a story or storytelling they kind of have a connection with, right?
Yeah, I mean that's also I had recently to go through all the dreams again for checking some stuff in the layout, and I was really happy to see that we have everything in it. We have dreams like the killer tomatoes, but we also have some of the artists picked some really complex dreams where it's like, okay, that is not something you can so easily digest and kind of like visualize. And I'm really happy to see that some of them tackled that actually and made wonderful work of that. So I'm really happy to see that.
Yeah. So now before the launch and with the book coming together, and I mean, we're in crunch time right now. We're not. I wouldn't say we are too stressed out right now, but it's crunch time because the release is coming closer, or the campaign release. So what would you say until this point are your main learnings from running this project, from like being the project runner?
Definitely tighter deadlines.
Yeah. I kind of expected that answer.
No, but the thing is, I knew that it will not be easy to put like pressure on deadlines, especially how we approach the project itself. And I'm fine with that because we also knew we will take our time. But you have to put deadlines not only for people that you invite to take part in, but also for yourself. It's just like there were points for me also where I noticed, of course, because I also had other work to do, because it's still not our main project. We also work other stuff. But I was like, okay, I should have put there that needs to be a deadline for myself. But other than that, I guess if you do guidelines, do them better.
Yeah. I feel like when it comes to deadlines, it's really delicate, to be honest, because this is a project where everyone is kind of involved on a personal level. So of course the artist will be paid if the project turns out to be successful, but it needs to be successful first. And
yes,
if I'm taking the perspective of the artist, I'm having us as the project runners, and I'm like, okay, I have to contribute something, my time and my work and my creativity to this project.
Yes.
And it depends on these guys if it all pays out in the end, if I have a payday in the end. And when you do a freelance project, of course I want to see my clients be successful, because that means they will probably come again and hire me again. But from the short-term earning money aspect, I could theoretically give a shit because the client pays me. I'm handing them my work, and then I'm out, and whatever happens is not my concern. It isn't the case for me personally, but in theory, there's a difference to running a book project, and I found it really hard because I really want to see these guys and every artist in general, but of course these guys, I want to see them being successful, and I want to pay them good money because that would make me feel much better because they put much work in it, and I think we have a fair share agreement and everything, so that's all right. But there's a potential that the project doesn't go as well as we plan, and that everyone just gets paid like low money. And with this, sorry, just let me finish this thought. With this in the back of my mind, I don't want to put too much pressure on deadlines to these guys, but because I'm like, you're all super busy, and I'm super happy to hear that everyone is always busy in our lineup.
Definitely.
And I'm like, if you have an opportunity to earn some money right now with the freelance project, I'm not the one to tell you, hey, you can't take that because you need to finish your book pages first.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's a fine balance. Like there's this German saying. I don't know how it would translate in English, but mit Zuckerbrot und Peitsche.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's one. There's one. Let me look it up. There's one, but I can't.
But basically, it's like you need to put pressure on people, but also be generous. Like you have to be like it's this fine balance, and it's I think what also helped that all the artists felt comfortable to actually invest a lot of time into that project. What I felt like that most of the artists did is that we both brought our own experience with similar projects into this whole idea of building Gooey Goose and Mirror Dreams. Because we both had experience with like how it is taking part as an artist yourself in such projects. You have experience with another Kickstarter that you did yourself with your coloring book. So we both knew what is a fair share, what can we ask for people, and what do we need to tell all the artists if they had no experience with Kickstarter before or like funding a project like this, what they need to be aware of how something like this can go in a super good way or also in a bad way. And so I think like this was good that we could actually like take them by the hand and say like, don't worry, there's this and this, and we got this.
yeah, that's right. The English translation of Zuckerbrot und Peitsche is carrot and stick, by the way.
What?
So I
okay,
guess
makes sense, yeah.
You're talking about a donkey or so. So you're giving the donkey a carrot and sometimes you're giving it a stick. Probably.
Maybe it's like this thing where you sit on the back of the donkey with the carrot on the stick and you go this way and you hold it.
Oh yeah, that's a different way of seeing it. Yeah, I thought the stick was to
God, no! I just had immediately like the Minecraft thing in my head.
Oh, yeah. Probably. Let's go with your interpretation because it's more. It's friendlier to the animals. Yeah. So yeah, it's really it's an interesting and delicate topic, and then I think I can't really sum up the learning in one sentence for me. I don't know if you want to try, but I think there's not like a learning for me that says you need to enforce deadlines more harshly. My learning is probably plan with more time. But still be decisive and clear about what you want and when from everyone, but give people more time if they need it. I remember middle of the year or probably even late spring, the first artist was done and the others were kind of running late. I think everyone else except the one artist. Ryan, if you see this or hear this, thank you for delivering so early. You're great. But and I felt a little bit bad for him because it was like he was asking after a while, like, oh, what's the current status? And I could just tell him, hey, man, we're just waiting for lots of work here. So I think maybe another learning is expectation management and communication. So communicating a lot, doing lots of expectation management, like we appreciate an early delivery, but until the project really releases, it may take a while, and etc. And what I see is that there's not a single person who is getting angry or frustrated or so if you really communicate in a clear way. So yeah, that's definitely a great learning, I guess.
I would sign that.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask, are the comics you made for the book, are these the first comics you actually ever made, or did you do comic work before?
I thought so, but funnily enough, a few days ago, I don't know, I think it was another chat, I was with some friends and we were talking
Did your
about...
mom find something on the...
Luckily, no, I found it myself.
Because that's where my first comics could be turning up. Like my mom getting into the what's it called, the
cellar.
No, not the cellar. The other direction. Under the roof. So that's where my parents store like old stuff, and my mom sometimes finds drawings and hangs them up on the wall, and I come home to my parents and see like a drawing on the wall. They're like, "What the fuck is this doing here?" Please,
the same.
Can't you buy a print like everyone else does?
I recently did that too. I was like seeing that, and my mother did that. I was like,
yeah,
I sent new prints.
But moms are so proud, and that's great. I mean, that's really
exactly.
It's lovely. So where did your comic turn up?
Funnily enough, like we were talking about old artworks, and I was like, man, I had a Tumblr. I remember that, and I went onto the Tumblr, and I saw there was a comic on that. It was like completely unhinged. Like it was during university illustration course, and it was. I lived in Constance back then, Lake of Constance. And there was like this religious figure that had like I don't know, 100 years or 200 years of that person, whatever. They had a party.
Mm-hmm.
And we as students should make artworks about that because there was this huge party and art exhibits. And I apparently made this religious figure into a superhero that is completely small and completely jacked. I can quickly send it to you. It's like absolutely mad. I saw it, I couldn't remember that I did that. I was like,
okay, where can I find it on your website?
Well, it's not on my website because this is still under my graffiti pseudonym on the Tumblr. That is well hidden.
I did a series of comics with Jesus back when I was at school at, I don't know, 8th or 9th grade or something. And you know, Jesus was baptized in the river Jordan.
Yeah,
I think. And there was a Formula One team, Jordan F1 back then, a racing team. And I don't know, now I think it's a genius idea, but it's so stupid as well. So I put Jesus, I made a little drawing of Jesus sitting in an F1 car being baptized, because Jesus was baptized in the Jordan. And out of this drawing came a whole comic series that I shared with my classmates, where Jesus was a Formula One driver, and a very nasty one as well. So, like you see, I wish I had that still. I mean, cameras were you didn't have cameras in your phones back then, so no one took pictures of that, and there were no scans or copies. I would love to read this again, because it was very brutal as well, because it was like a phase where like little boys sometimes love weapons and shit like that. So I started to give him like a bat, and he was like if a rival was overtaking him, he was taking the bat and hitting the rival's head or something, like really absolute bullshit. And I wish I had that now. It's really and I also made comics about our teachers, and they were not very nice as well. And when they found out I was in big trouble, man, I really So my parents had to come to school and talk to my teachers and all that because
No.
you may have used some swear words or so as well. Yeah.
What is it with like comics about religious figures? I see.
I don't know.
I did send it to you here in the chat. It's
I forgot about it for a while, but now it just came up when you mentioned that when you mentioned your. I don't know if I can put something up here in the.
let me see.
Okay, let me try to. No, I can. I have it here. It's fine. So here we go.
So basically, that guy
Young
was
Who's
burned.
Unleashed. That looks great, man. That looks.
I mean, it was during university also, but
Oh, okay. I thought it was earlier.
to be fair, that guy was absolutely a thin monk or whatever, and I made like the most swole dude out of him.
He's a power fighter monk now. It looks great, man. It's really I mean, it's look at that. The colors are great. So you can share that. It's weird, definitely, but oh, it's cool. So I wanted to check out your work and talk about your style a bit as well, because one thing that occurred to me is that both the dream and the nightmare you picked for your own stories in the book happen at a dining table. Is that right? Somehow?
Not anymore.
Oh, really? I thought they were both.
I mean, I changed my mind a few times now, but now I look at it again because I still have to work on my nightmare, and I was like, maybe I go back to the dinner table thing.
Oh, okay.
So maybe, who knows?
I was wondering if there was something about environments that include food or people eating and drinking is fascinating to you, because when we looked through your work, I mean, the first impression is that you obviously love the best color there is in the world, which is purple. So we have that in common. And when I look at, for example, the Astral Diner here, there's the animation here happening at a like an American diner kind of restaurant. And how do I? Oh yeah, it's been displayed here in during Art Basel Miami on that boat, which was really cool.
Yeah,
that was a nice experience. Let's see, the Rastov Talfahrt is also kind of a diner thing, right? This animation is so cool. The bat swinging guy here.
I just love coffee. I think that's the common
the coffee thing. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I also love cooking. But I think the main thing that pulls it together is like tea and coffee. I just love it.
I'm waiting for this to happen. Yeah, I love this animation so much. So I think it's one of my favorite kind of blow up jumpy thing animation you did when the ball hits. So I really hope, like, attention spans are so short these days, and the action is happening here after like 12 seconds or so. Really hope that the people watching this are watching this far, because it's so cool.
Yeah, I just love doing these kind of animations. I mean, and food is also a nice topic. Everyone loves food.
Yeah, I agree. I do have a couple of food related illustrations as well. Is it like the everyday aspect that you add some spice to that attracts you, or what do you think is attractive to you as an artist?
I think, yeah, it's what I love to do is like taking everyday things that we all most of the day we spend at work, or like having a small lunch break or whatever. What I love to do is putting it sometimes in an absurd context. So like it's this hyper stressed person. You have that person like he's on his lunch break finally, like had a super stressful day, and not even that he can enjoy because life is relentlessly always pushing, and it's like this absurdity that you can't enjoy your nice cake and your coffee.
Okay. Is that like kind of a wish you have? Like, is this like a scenario um, that you think you don't have enough in your life, like enjoying your coffee without getting disturbed by anything?
There was a time where I was like, I want a break.
Okay.
I'm stressed the hell out of my life. Like
I mean, look
I
at
think
these
it was
guys here, right? I mean, the facial expression, I think, speaks volumes here.
it's like, oh, I can't anymore. I just want to drink my coffee. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
There was a point in time where I was like, I need a break. It's everything is too much stress, and I didn't know where to go with my art in general. And I tried to kind of put that into the artworks and kind of like self therapy. I mean, art is kind of like self therapy, and I guess nowadays I make it better. I managed to make clear borders. I need my breaks. I need my personal time. Um, which also kind of helps now looking at these kind of artworks from a different perspective and also make these artworks new ones from a different perspective.
But the motives stay the same, or would you say that the storytelling and the motives and topics also developed? Like, do you think you're creating more positive vibes, for example, nowadays compared to back then?
Um, hmm. Actually, not really. I think if I know, I initially I would say, yeah, I do positive stuff now. But if I look at my more recent work, it gets more critical about everyday life and society, I would say. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, I
just an
would agree.
example.
So that was that wasn't meant as a suggestive question, but I would agree. I think that's one of the greatest aspects of illustration and art, that we're able to work out these contexts and topics in a sometimes in a blown up way, a little bit exaggerated way, right? But also to create this tension between a fun looking visual that has an underlying topic that is more serious and more like that includes criticism, for example.
Yeah, I mean, like since I also always try to focus on world building. If I feel it gets too much at the moment, I'm completely focused on this type of imagery, which I also use for my animations. It's like this 70s aesthetic retro business vibe, I would say. Spiced up with maybe a little bit sci-fi elements, but really not that much. But if that gets too much, I have multiple projects where I know I can go back and just work on that. I have like a more futuristic cyberpunk project which doesn't care at all about what's going on in the world. And if I want to draw some cool robots, I just go in there, have my fun. But I would say for the past year and a half, it's more focused on everyday life and also personal experiences and how I deal with that. I kind of like to dissect all that thing that I experience and also see other people experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, that is now more my sci-fi stuff now that you show. So it's this is more like I do some sci-fi.
Yeah, I was picking that after you mentioned that, because I think this is kind of work that's just fun to work at for the sake of a nice visual, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's really nice to have these projects or these lines of work in your back. I always see these as my retreat projects. For example, my Japan Days series is that way. There's no criticism or anything involved at all. I mean, in my work in general, there's not so much so much criticism or commentary involved, and in lots of my work it's very, very subtle, and I like to get let my viewers of my work just create their own way of percepting and enriching my work with their own thoughts and stories. But for example, my Japan Day series is that for me, that I think there's just it's beautiful scenes. There's a story behind it, but the story is never even a commentary on anything. So there's a girl walking home from a train station, and people can think about like where does she come from? What's her story? What's she going to do now? Like how is she going to spend her evening? Where does she work? Does she work in another city? Did she visit her family? But it's not about she's had a hard time at work and her life sucks. So.
Yeah, I mean, like it's also a thing. As our day job, we are still illustrators, and we have to work with topics that are given to us, and sometimes they're not that easy to digest. And sometimes you just don't want to think. You just want to feel good, create something, refine your skills or whatever, and just have fun with it. I mean, of course, illustration jobs are also fun, but different.
Yeah. All right. I had a question in mind that was aiming at your multidisciplinary skills and being a generalist, but I think we talked about that for a while now. However, what I wanted to do is point at your YouTube channel, because you did this cool video called How to Create Crazy 3D Animations. And I watched that video and I was like, how can he fit like so many skills and so many steps into like what's it, like 10 minutes, 12 minutes or so, maybe?
I think so, yeah, 10 minutes, yeah.
And I think you could like really, so this is my advice to you.
Yeah, please.
You should take this video, cut it into 10 1-minute steps, and turn every single minute into a 1 hour course, part of a course or something, because it's really fascinating to see. I'm not going to show the video here because this is, after all, this is still an audio only friendly podcast. So, but I really recommend watching it. And I wanted to ask, like, are you planning on making more educational content in the future? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Absolutely. And I need to find a time. Because
making videos is so hard on time.
Yeah. Especially if you do the same mistake that I knew it will happen, that I didn't pre-produce videos. Mm-hmm. So for people all out there that are also planning on doing YouTube, pre-produce videos. Don't do like I release a video and then I work on the next. It's destined to be doomed. It's
but it's so I have the same issue, right? I released my first longer, so 12-minute video on YouTube since I think a year. 2 weeks ago when I did that pen display review of the latest Huion display I got, and it's so hard to hold back. So I finished the video and I'm happy with the result and I want to share it. And I'm like, okay, when do I have time to pre-produce anything? Okay, not really in the next couple of weeks. So I want to share it, and it's really. It's
feel
difficult.
It's like, I mean, I'm even that bad. Like, I render out the video, I maybe watch through it once and just upload it right away.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, why would I do that? I have to check for errors and whatever. But
and also the way you produce your videos with all the editing is, man, it's really cool, and I think people appreciate it. I mean, the last video got like 60K views or something, which is really nice, and you deserve much more. If you ask me,
Thank you.
I'm pretty sure it will happen if you post more.
I know.
Again. But you're editing. So for me, it's like I cut a couple of scenes together, put some random music, and then I'm done. It's still lots of work, but for you, it's cool. How much effort you put into like transitions and little effects and all that. It's really nice to see. So your plans are like, you're waiting for a time slot to open up to make more educational content.
Yeah, it's like I have footage for probably like 3 more videos already kind of done, finished. I also have the script, but for me, the process is I have to get into it. Like, it's not like an artwork where I know I can scribble something, come back next day, scribble again. It's like I have to sit down and work through it, because otherwise, for me, still, because I'm not doing mainly videos, I kind of feel the style is changing too much. So for example, if I have a 10-minute video and I work on 1 minute, then have a break of like 1 month in between the next minute I'm working on, the style is completely different.
Okay, that's crazy.
And I feel that for sure. I mean, of course you can go back and check, but it's like I maybe something in the meantime I learned something new, or I have a different taste for certain visuals or whatever, and then it falls apart. It doesn't work. I have to sit down and work through it.
But do you think it's a big problem to have an evolution in your video editing style? Is that like, I mean, if it's all over the place, I would call it an issue, but
yeah.
Is it probably something you only see yourself, and that something that is not really as visible for others?
I would say, of course, to a certain degree, it's also like main criticism on myself. But what I know for sure, which I want to avoid a lot, is that within one video it changes. I'm fine with stuff changing from one video to the next one. That's fine. This is just natural. It happens. But like if you have it within one video because you had too many breaks in between, then the flow gets kind of lost.
Mm-hmm.
Like you want to...
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah. Especially because the videos I do, they're not so much like point A to point B tutorials with just like, this is the technique and that's it. It's, I would say like my videos, is this the right word? It's more like an experience. Not a vlog, but also not a tutorial. It's something in between. You're like, just the vibe. And
yeah, an experience is a good description. I think it's at the intersection of educational and entertainment. I guess. So, but that's great. I mean, that's. I think that's how really good YouTubers do it in the end. So their videos are. There's of course. I mean, if I look for an After Effects tutorial and I want to know how to bend the curve between two keyframes in the right way to make it look good or whatever, I don't know. Then of course I don't need entertainment. I just want a 2-minute tutorial that tells me what's happening there. But that's not the type of video you want to do anyway. There's so many people who do that already and they do it great. But if you go a step further and go more into a conceptual and ideation kind of area, I think their education is entertainment is a key thing to keep people hooked to watching more, right?
Definitely, because I'm also not like proficient in most of the things that I like to share online. The only thing I would say I'm proficient in, like going in and saying like, I'm 100% sure it works that way, is with illustration. But like animation, 3D and whatever is still like something I'm not 100% certain about certain things. It works for me. This is my workflow. And if I would go into detail too much and would be like the teacher position, it would fall apart.
But everyone is the same there, really. Everyone thinks they kind of wing it, and everyone thinks they build workarounds because they don't know how to do things properly. But to be honest, when I share my live streams and I draw something in Procreate, for example, and just do my thing there. I mean, Procreate is pretty straightforward, but still there's always people like asking, how did you do that and why did you do it that way? And I'm like, hey, I'm using a clipping mask here because I want to change the color of this layer later. I know it's a bit weird to put another mask on the clipping mask, and the reaction is, that's genius. That's great. I didn't think of it that way. That helps a lot. And to be honest, I'm pretty sure it's the same for you. I feel like there's a little bit of imposter syndrome involved there.
Yeah.
And I would just so my suggestion would be to just try it and see how people like it. And even if someone has a totally crazy workflow and goes like from A to B with a little trip through the moon, I don't know. It can be interesting, and people will learn something.
Yeah, definitely. I think why I'm also like so criticizing myself is about that whole thing. It's because I'm more experimental with the stuff I do. It's like I have it depends on what I use, but I have an idea, and this is a problem that needs to be solved in the animation process or in the 3D process. And most of the time I get there by just trying stuff out. I could Google it for sure, but I'm like, no, I want to figure out a way to do it. And then the next time I do another artwork, I figured out a better way and yada yada. And stuff just changes also, like how the programs work from time to time. But yeah. Sorry for the background noise. My cat is disassembling
Yeah, I was just
the
going
cat
to
tree.
ask if you have a cat visitor going around there. It's fine. Hello, cat. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to Pen Tales. Yeah, I don't want to kind of patronize you or tell you how you should do things, but that's just my thoughts. For example, I mean, I do animation, but I think in a very different and more basic and simple way compared to you. But I still would love this kind of content. So I would be interesting to watch these videos. And I'm not even, like I say, I'm not even probably the target audience. So,
but there will be a juicy one soon. Like
okay, cool.
wanted to go more into detail to make like a really illustrative and heavy 3D work that is like shouldn't look like 3D but utilizes 3D.
Oh, okay, that's great.
More than the last one.
So I think we're coming a bit closer to the end of the podcast because we went from making our book to dealing with artists over exhibition design and meaning and underlying messages in illustration to
the whole shenanigans.
Whole shenanigans. Yeah, that's how it should be. And to close this, I want to try out a couple of recurring questions or talking points. I also would have loved to include something involving live sketching, to be honest. That's what I had in mind when I wrote down some ideas for this podcast. But as I mentioned before, this is meant to be to work on the audio level, and it's meant to work for listeners. So maybe we have to talk about doing a co-streaming thing sometime, like a second concept. Because honestly, now that I've got you in my podcast here, I wonder why we've never done any art live stream on YouTube or Twitch together, just sitting, working away on some shit and chatting. That would be a nice live concept, but we can do that maybe in under a different name.
There's even cool programs for it, like Magma Studio, for example. It's kind of fun for that.
Okay, tell me more. Let's look into that.
We share one canvas and draw on the same canvas live.
Okay. Oh, that sounds crazy. Okay. Yeah, maybe we got to try that on Twitch sometime. But yeah, so we'll see. But as for like the closing questions, I wanted to ask a couple A or B questions, and you can answer them very briefly, or you can elaborate a bit more and explain your decision. And I just wanted to try this and see how it goes. So, first question would be digital or traditional?
Digital.
Okay, that was an easy one, right?
Yeah.
If you had like if you could take 3 things to a lonely island, would it be like an iPad, or because I mean, given you had a power source, so would you take an iPad or would you take pen and paper?
There actually I would take pen and paper.
Okay, yeah. Funny because that was my own answer as well, because I knew you would say digital, but so lots of planning or going with the flow?
Oh, that's tough. Shit. I guess more lots of planning. Even though it might look more like going with the flow from other people looking at my stuff.
That's your German genetics. You can't go without planning.
No. Doesn't work.
Work from home or having a studio?
Oh, work from home, definitely.
Okay. Next one is early bird or night owl?
Early bird, definitely. I love my early hours with the coffee.
With the coffee, I was just going to say that.
Yeah, that's the best.
Are you more productive in the mornings as well? So, or do you feel more creative or anything?
Definitely. I mean, it's just like this whole process of like, okay, I have my routine that actually helps me to get into the flow. Like if I try to start late in the evening or so, so much stuff already happened, and I quickly go into that thing. Maybe I just sit on the couch and do something else.
Okay. Yeah, got it. Personally, it's funny because I love the morning hours, and whenever I get up early and like sit down, and I love this quiet atmosphere that kind of the day is waking up, and I feel like my brain isn't as clogged and full with stuff in the morning hours. I for example, only do accounting work in the mornings because I'm more clear and more focused. But I can't get up early that good. I hate it.
It's hard.
I need to sleep. I need to sleep long, and in the evenings or nights I can't find an end, and the city work until 1 in the night or so, and I just can't stop. That's I'm really torn. So, but it's me who asks the questions and not answers them. So let's go on to the next one. Fantasy or realism?
Realism.
Okay, interesting.
I guess because my work, not so much anymore, but my work for clients used to be so much fantasy or sci-fi, whatever. So I guess like
sci-fi is fantasy in this case. Yeah.
In this case, yeah.
Okay. Now this one's going to be hard. Boulder or art?
Boulder or art?
We didn't talk about Boulder at all in this podcast. I had a couple like backup questions in case we didn't get a conversation going, which I wasn't really afraid of. But I had a couple backup questions about your hobbies, and of course, I need to mention that Boulder is a big hobby of yours, right? So
yeah, bouldering is big. Even though I'm injured right now and can't boulder so much, I'm. Oh hell, damn it, dude! It's. At the moment, let's say it that way. At the moment, and also for the past year, I would say bouldering.
Okay.
But it used to be more art. But I think it changed because I had to change. I got obsessive about overdoing art. And
oh wow, okay.
If that, what I never want to have is burnout overdoing art. And that's why I had to change my obsessiveness to something outside of art.
I know. I think it happens to lots of people, but the idea of having burnout over or from something that is your passion at the same time sounds devastating to me, to be honest.
It's terrible. I was close to it 2 times and never want to do that again. It's terrible. So I'm like, okay, I gotta change the perspective on what I do. Like if it wouldn't be my job, then whatever, be obsessive about it. But since it's my job, I have to take care that I keep my passion for it, I guess.
Yeah. Not even for jobs, to be honest. I mean, I could probably earn money any other way. Not any other way, but some other way. I would probably hopefully find another way. I don't know what, but I've never been talented in anything other than making art. Even though I don't really believe in talent, but let's say if talent equals what you want to do with your life, and yeah, or that's a bit weird, but if talent equals the motivation you can bring into something, right? And I never had any motivation for something that wasn't really like creative work. So, but even if it was just a hobby, it would still be your passion. And I think I'm not sure if you can burn out over a hobby. Maybe, I don't know, but
you can.
It will be,
but it's hard.
Yeah, I guess it will be a big problem for me to level this out. But yeah, so that's a good reason to be careful about this and to recognize warning signals, I guess.
Definitely.
So last one is while you're working, silence or noise?
Oh, a lot of noise.
Hard techno. Noise. That's good because I have a follow-up question to that. I don't know what I will do. I want to ask this silence or noise question everyone who's hopefully coming to my podcast in the future. And I don't know what to do if someone says silence. But my next question is that I want to create a podcast playlist with every artist's favorite songs to listen to while working. And can you say you don't have to come up with them now? You can also come up with music artists or so. But what would be 3 songs you would add to this list?
So at the moment it would be Jason's status, Badadan.
I'm gonna write that down. Jason Status.
Yeah, it's the artist, and the song is Badadan. It's like UK drum and bass.
Oh, okay,
Kinda
cool.
ish.
That's great. Great start.
What else do we have? I don't know the artist's name. It's called Pachamama. It's also drum and bass.
I hope
Maybe
that
I have it in
doesn't. I hope that doesn't mean shag your mother in Italian or so.
No, for sure not.
Okay.
But I can look it up. It's a really fun song. And the last one would be 9mm by Brutalismus 3000.
Oh yeah, brutalismus.
Classic. I would suggest some Boiler Rooms, but they're all over the place, so it's like
I mean, it's
whatever.
fine. It's meant to be a playlist where it can be all over the place in the end. It's. I imagine that we have a really fun playlist after probably doing 10 to 15 interviews. I don't know if I get this far with Pentales, but we'll see.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
if you listen to it, you can put it in a shuffle, and you're like, oh, this is interesting. Someone likes to work to this music. Okay. We'll see. Yeah. I have to come up with 3 of my own as well. Maybe I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I have something right now, but
Scooter.
Scooter. Yeah, always faster, harder, Scooter. Okay, so I have one last question that is a bit of a feel-good thing before we close this down. I want to know what your dream creative project is. So no budget restrictions or anything. So if you want to paint the moon, you could go for it. We built you a rocket and a station on the moon, and you can paint the dark side of the moon with a nice smiley. What would you do?
Oh, that's really hard. I think what I would love to do is some kind of like interactive artwork or something with a lot of collaborators that is kind of like a multiple choice thing where people that look at it can change the outcome of the artwork. It's a super like vague thing. I would say it's kind of like a VR whatever experience.
So very experimental.
Very experimental. I have a concept for something like that for ages now lying around where people can go into the artwork and change it for the next person to go into it. But I also control some aspects of it. But I think this would also be the project where you need a lot of time and budget for it. And because like this is something you can't tackle alone. You need people that can program and understand game engines and whatever. But to make it easy, I would say it's probably like your own interactive movie. Something like that.
Cool. Yeah, I think this question is maybe evoking some more experimental approach to project because it would be meant to have no delivery goal or anything, right? So I'm really excited to hear what everyone will reply to that. But I thought this. So I think my dream project would also be very experimental because I would just do something that where there are no expectations at all about the result, and it would be purely about fun and enjoying making art or something. So yeah, cool. You wanted to add something?
Yeah, just for a thing, I would say like it's kind of similar to what I do anyway. It's like my personal animation projects. It's just like it's open ended, it's experimental, it evolves during the process.
Are you telling me that you're living the dream?
Oh yeah.
But there is no better thing to end a podcast to if the guest tells you that they live their dream. That's there we are back to our book.
Yeah. Circle.
So if anyone would like to check out the book that Dominik and I are working on together and have been working on together for the past months, I'm going to put the link to the Kickstarter in the description of this podcast on whatever app you're watching or listening, so you can check it out. We would love to have you as supporters, of course, because we need the support of followers and fans and everyone interested in nice art books and comic books to make this real and to actually print this and ship it out into the world. And Dominik, I'll have you back here in a couple of months, I guess, and then we kind of can look back to what we achieved with the project, if it was a success or if it was a fuck up, which hopefully will not be the case.
Oh God, no.
I'm trying to be transparent and honest, so everyone is always like, I really hate toxic positivity. I also hate toxic negativity, yeah. But I can't stand toxic positivity. So we want to stay real here, but of course we hope we will be successful, and I think and believe in the project, of course, obviously, because definitely. I think we made something great there. Thanks for coming on this time. It was a pleasure. 90 minutes of lovely talking to you, and I guess we see each other soon in the Discord chat or on Instagram, etc. All right.
Thank you so much for having me.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Once again, thanks, Dominik, for joining me. This was really fun. And as mentioned before, your feedback or any hopefully good reviews on wherever you are or which platform you are would mean so much to get this thing started. Cheers, guys. Also, I want to shout out Sebastian Pfeiffer, aka Sebastian Pfeiffer. Well, Sebastian Pfeiffer in German, aka Everfresh. Thanks, man, for helping me with the intro animation and music. So that's it for today. See you soon. Hear you soon. Thanks for tuning in today. Bye-bye.